Let me read to you a passage from the 11th chapter of St. Matthew's Gospel, verses 25 to 30. It's the Gospel for the 14th Sunday of Ordinary Time, Year A. St. Matthew writes, "At that time Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned, and revealed them to little children. Yes, Father, for this was your good pleasure. All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father, and no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Come to me, all you who labour and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." That's from Matthew chapter 11, verses 25 to 30, in which our Lord refers to himself as the source of rest for our souls. You know, there are those who understand rest and repose and happiness as being something very physical, perhaps exclusively physical. It could be watching a show on television or having a very enjoyable meal. Another person looks to gaining some position in life and in his work as his best satisfaction and happiness. Or it could be some outdoor exercise such as a walk through the bushland. It could be some form of reading or an evening of conversation and companionship with friends. It could be harmony within the family. It is obvious that the notions of happiness and contentment and rest in life vary enormously among individuals and societies. Furthermore, it is also obvious to most that there are different degrees or qualities of happiness which this or that benefit brings to man. If you win a great lottery and suddenly find yourself a wealthy person, this will probably bring you a certain degree of happiness and what we might call rest for your soul. But the euphoria of this will pass away, as you will in your more lucid moments understand. Such a turn of events could even bring unexpected anxieties. Further, most would know that to have a lot of money at one's disposal will not bring the happiness of other things, say, an excellent marriage. So, ordinary human experience, common sense, and clear-headed reflection will indicate that if one is to be truly happy in life, one has to think very carefully about one's goals, and just as carefully about the means to attain them. One will not be happy simply by indulging in one's favourite pastime, such as watching a favourite television series, or going for a walk through bushland, or having an evening with friends. A certain degree of happiness or contentment is attained by these means, while truly noble pursuits, such as the fostering of a harmonious family life, will bring its joy and happiness. The deepest happiness does not come simply from these things such as those. And coincidentally, it will be noticed that all these things of themselves are temporal blessings. They are terrestrial goals and benefits. So the question arises in the heart of the reflective person, wherein is the truest and greatest happiness in life to be found? Just as important is the question, how is this to be determined anyway? The fact is that we can spend the whole of life seeking happiness and finding a degree of it by trial and error and personal reflection, but ultimately never really getting there. I'm sure that there are great numbers of persons in this position. Many never attain deep happiness in life. Indeed, many come to the conclusion that the question cannot be resolved, so they give up on it and settle for whatever life happens to offer, Many others finally put their faith in this or that philosophical authority or great religious leader. Aristotle's thoughts on happiness could be the final path that is chosen, or the way of Buddha. But have any of these put their finger on the true answer anyway? There is this to be considered too, whether the very question is well put. That is to say, should I be simply seeking my happiness, or the path that will bring rest to my soul? Who is to say that by consciously seeking my happiness, as such, I will ever be likely to attain it? This is an important question because there is another fundamental consideration that arises in the soul of everyone that is not, on the face of it, the same as his natural quest for happiness. I refer to the natural aspiration and obligation to do what is right. It is part of his fundamental experience that man senses and knows that he should do what is objectively right. He has a conscience commanding him to fulfill the moral law, whether it brings him happiness and rest or not. In fact, the dictate of his conscience may seem to upset his happiness altogether, and require of him that he forego all that he thinks will bring him happiness. So what are we to do? What is man to do in the face of these fundamental questions in life, questions that relate to his call to be good and yet to be happy? There are philosophers who give up on the question and say that life is objectively meaningless, without meaning. Well, to this conundrum comes the answer from heaven. God has intervened with the sending of his divine Son to enlighten man in respect to the true path of life. Happiness will come from doing what one should do, and this means, in the concrete, coming to Jesus Christ. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew chapter 11, verse 25 to 30. There is an answer to the yearnings of man for goodness and happiness, an answer to the imperatives that arise from his heart, requiring that he do what is right, and that he set wisely on the path that will bring rest to his soul. The answer is in knowing, loving, and following and serving the person of Jesus Christ. We must come to him, meet him as a real living person in prayer, fall in love with him in prayer, and follow him faithfully and with a full heart in everything. That is God's answer to man's need, and it is the purpose for which man is created. Christ promises to give rest to our souls, and the saints show us that this is so, just as Christ himself showed that it is so. Go to Jesus Christ then. Stake all on him. Be prepared to forego everything and anything that might interfere with where he takes you. Happiness and rest for your soul will be the upshot, most assuredly so.